Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of 2 of me making a padlock from scratch for collaboration with McNally Official. If you haven't seen part 1 of me making the key, make sure you go do that, and I hope you loved the video today. Before we get into me making everything, I wanted to bring you another certified chalkboard moment so I can talk a little bit more about the anatomy of a padlock. I did it last time for the key, and now we're gonna do it for the padlock, okay? Also, I know the microphone cover looks really bad, it's because my cat chewed on it. The hasp, indicated by the blue, is the U-shaped portion that will go down into the internals of the padlock. The case, indicated by the white, makes up the perimeter of the padlock. The front and back, indicated by the yellow, act as the front and back. Pretty easy. Are you still listening? Should I put Subway Surfers at the bottom of this? The standoffs, indicated by the orange, are the components that will secure the case and the front and back together, making up the body of the padlock. The key post, indicated by this purple dot, is what the key, which has a hollow stem, is going to register on. The bolt guides, indicated by this light green color, are what help keep the bolt in place so it can function properly. The spring, indicated by this green color, help return the bolt to its resting position. In order to unlock the padlock, you will need to insert your key onto the registration post, turn your key to interact with the bolt, moving it backwards to compress the spring, allowing for you to remove the hasp. To lock the padlock, it's as simple as turning the hasp down to where it goes back into the body of the padlock, pressing until you hear a loud click, and then it should be locked. Okay? Thank you for being here for another certified chalkboard moment. Let's get into the rest of the video. One of the first things I need to make is the side of the lock, which is going to establish our profile. Okay, I'm going to cut this into a strip. Why did I make that so dang long? Dude, I'm always doing the dumbest stuff like that. I'm gonna put this in the forge and straighten this out and get some good texture on here. And I will also bend it into the proper shape. Okay, time to go to the forge. This is the outside of our padlock. What I need to do now is get the flat plates that will become the top and bottom. I'm gonna cold cut this one too. Oh, I also made this, which is the stem for the key. Ta-da. Cool. Just gotta cut that out. So let's do that real quick. Front and back. So we have front, back, sides, key, stem. I need to go forge the standoffs that are going to hold the front, back, and sides together. So let's go do that. This morning I realized that I made a mistake. So what I didn't account for was the hasp. So this morning I cut out 2 fresh pieces. So these allow for enough room for me to put a hole and a post for the hasp to pivot on. Anyway, the next thing I need to do is to solder several posts. So I'm gonna chop this up real quick, just like this. The plan now is to position these French fries around the padlock and solder them into place. Now that the posts are brazed onto the body of the padlock, so I filed these round tenons on one side of it, and now's the point where I need to put some holes in sheet metal, and I don't want to use a drill for that. There's this cool guy on Instagram who runs Cloverdale Forge. His name is Matt, and he's been doing a series of these cool old tools that are from like old popular mechanics magazines and books and stuff. And one of them was this cold punch guide for sheet metal work, where I took a piece of flat bar and I just bent it around, and now I can just put the guide over where it needs to go and drive a punch through that, and I should have a fairly accurate hole. Yeah, time to cold punch. Okay, bye. Dude, look at that. Worked like a dream. Punches out these cutest little biscuits. Wow. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, the holes are punched. I filed them a little bit to fit this up. Before I put the stem for the key in here, I'm gonna put both of these plates in the forge so they can get a little bit of that forge texture. That's what I want. I want it to look very similar to this texture on the outside. So I'm gonna toss these in the forge real quick, heat them up, and then I'll come back inside and I will put the key post where it needs to be. Okay, bye. Just got back from the forge, and this is the texture that I wanted on this. Just to give a little side-by-side comparison, I need to put the key into the proper location here, and it needs to ride on this little post that I made for it. And I'm gonna use a very sophisticated and smart guy way to figure this out. Super precise layout for the key. I'm just gonna use the stump to pop this hole in here. You can see it poked through, but it also made like a little pimple. I just realized I may have made a dumb idiot mistake. So when I punched this hole, I did it on the wrong side. That hole is lightly countersunk, right? It's a lot smaller from this side than it is from this side. When I cold punch things, I like to use the taper of the cold punch to basically have an automatic countersink for my tenon, so it'll be a flush rivet, but I did it on the wrong side. I'm gonna see if I can pull off a win with my countersinking. I don't know. It is many hours later now. The post fits, so I'm gonna rivet this and try to get this stuck. The post has been placed, and it's straight, and it's good. The next thing I need to do is put the spring in. And I forged this silly little post, and this is where the spring will be wrapped around. So I'm just gonna use this old hacksaw blade that ran out of juice. So I need to make the hasp, and I need to make the bolt. I'm going to forge those things as well as the spring. So we're gonna get all that going. Okay, to the forge.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, last night I forged this bolt, but I kind of quickly figured out that this is not the proper design that I need to go with. So this is the bolt that I forged. They're also playing the worst music right now outside, so I'm sorry if you have to hear this. All right, I'm gonna file this and get it ready to be kind of all laid out. Okay, everybody, W in the chat. We got all of our pieces for the padlock. This is the hasp. As you can see, it's a big chonker. But yeah, how about everybody go down into the comments and say, wow, Nate, this is looking very epic. This is very cool. I need to round this out. But before I do that, I need to start timing the bolt. I trimmed it so it has a little more movement, but I need it to stay in place. So I have this cold punch, and I might just use that on this, almost the same size. So I think I might just use this as my bolt guide. I'm gonna do some cleanup on that, and then I'll punch the hole. I've been fussing with this spring for about a half hour now, and I'm really not happy with how it's compressing and applying tension to the bolt. I didn't want to do this, but I am going to forge a spring. So I'm gonna go forge that real quick and then I'll be back. While the spring is cooling, I'm going to begin some work on the hasp here. I did a whole bunch of things. So I filed the tenon on the pin, I filed on the hasp, so I also got the spring ready to go. So I need to make a hole so we can put the hasp in, make a hole to put the spring post in, and I also need to unbend the spring. I'm gonna do all those things. Here's a little update for you, everybody. I ended up putting another guide in here. The spring is also in there. I'm also gonna cut a little notch in here. It's really kind of fumbly having all these loose pieces in here. I ended up riveting, whoops, everything's falling out now. I ended up riveting some things into place. So like that's the spring, the key post, those guides, and the hasp pin pivot. We're almost ready to seal this thing up. But there's a lot of honesty in some of these nasty hammer marks. I'm going to start actually fitting and cutting and doing all of those things to make sure this thing functions. So, okay, bye. I didn't initially want to give the hasp the full filework treatment, but I really don't like this puckering here. Should have fixed that while I was at the forge. So I think I am going to give this the full filework move. It's been a little bit, and I did a couple things. So the keyhole now fits. I cut out this decorative element here because it looks nice. Also filed the front of the padlock. Make sure everybody turns their volume up. Ready for this? Okay, well, we're gonna rivet. Oh, see ya. Alright y'all, after lots of fussy file work, we finally have a completed padlock, and it functions. I'm pretty stoked with how this came out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm excited to make more locks and mechanisms and things like that. And thanks again to McNally Official for being receptive to the idea to do this. I'm excited to see what he does with it. I only know how to make these things, I don't know how to break into them. Make sure you head on over to his channel and see what he does with it. Alright, let's wrap this thing up. Wow, can you believe we made it to the end of the video? So what did we learn? One is that this was a very dumb idea for a second video project. That's it. If you want to learn blacksmithing, I have classes over at naweis.org where I'm teaching how to make small hammers or measuring tools at different schools around the country. You can also learn more about my work and what I do. Make sure you also follow me on the Instagram and the Clock app, because you get to see a little bit more of what I'm doing. I think it's more fun. You get to see some of the goofy stuff that I post. If you want to help support me, you can go over to my Patreon. It's only like a couple bucks. Like, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing that? That's it.